Welcome to Silberman Law Firm's Weekly Docket, Episode 1, where we talk legal news and practical law. Today is January 19th, 2024. I'm Phil Silberman, owner of the Silberman Law Firm, your host, and I'm joined by my co-host, Austin Black, who works in our Dallas office.
Yeah, it's not really an office. I'm just working from my home, but here in Dallas, definitely.
But you do work, right?
Yes, I do work, yeah.
That's always a good thing. So this podcast is brought to you by nobody because it's our episode 1 and we have no sponsors, but that's okay. Although technically the Silberman Law Firm pays our salaries, so they're sponsoring today. So we can say brought to you by the Silberman Law Firm. What's on our docket today?
First, we're going to be going through Trump's really big legal challenges related to the 14th Amendment and then the DC criminal case.
How many cases is Trump? He's got like 150. Right?
He's got quite a few. He's got a lot of state law challenges and a lot of federal. But the big one's the 14th Amendment case and the DC criminal one.
What else is on the docket today?
Yeah, so we have some legal questions, some practical and some not so practical that we're going to go through and answer.
And these are like client questions. People call us and they've got questions about the law and then we answer the questions.
Yeah, exactly.
But if the State Bar Chief Disciplinary Counsel is listening, we change the facts on all these for that segment. So we're not revealing client confidentiality or information.
Absolutely.
So, and then what else we got?
Then after that, we're going to spend a little bit of time ranting and raving about something. This week, particularly online reviews and how corrupt and useless and absolutely ridiculous they are.
That opinion may be in the minority. That may be a controversial rant and rave section, but I'm not a fan of online reviews, and we're going to talk about that and talk about some ways small businesses can deal with those and the way our firm deals with them. All right, let's get started with our legal news segment. So we're starting off with Trump cases. And I guess before we talk about these, are we qualified to talk about these cases?
Absolutely not.
No, we are not. And we're not qualified because we're not constitutional law lawyers.
Yeah.
And we both went to law school. We both are lawyers. We both took constitutional law.
Correct.
I don't know what your experience was, but when I took con law, you get this really progressive professor that goes up there and talks about things that nobody understands. And when they give you this really pretty red book that says constitutional law.
Yeah, I still have that book too, actually. My con law professor actually wasn't so right or left leaning, but it was because he was particularly gunning to be the dean of the university. So,
okay, let me brag on Austin a little bit. He went to the University of Texas, which is the fanciest law school we have in Texas. I'm just a U of H guy, so we couldn't get Alan Dershowitz or Jay Sekulow on the show. So you're settling for Austin and Phil's analysis. And the first thing we're going to talk about, first case, is this Section 3 14th Amendment case. So Trump's running for president for another term.
Yeah.
And the blue states, the Democrat states, they're mad, right? They don't want him to run.
Sure.
The state of Colorado decides that Trump's off the ballot because his actions on January 6th, where he tried to subvert the election, amounted to insurrection.
Correct.
So if you're a voter in Colorado, you can't vote for him because he's off the ballot.
Exactly. Right? Or Maine.
And the blue states, the Democrats, Maine and Colorado, are saying, all right, there's this section of the Constitution, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, that says no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of the president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature. And then it goes on to say that engaged in insurrection or rebellion.
Exactly.
Now, let me tell you just a little history about this amendment you may or may not know. This amendment was actually written to keep Civil War officers, Confederate officers, from serving in Congress. And the idea was, hey, you took up your weapons against the United States, so you're not going to be able to hold office as a president or a vice president or be in Congress. That was the idea. The state said, hey, Trump committed insurrection, and we can use this to keep him off the ballot. Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. The original law was used for Confederate officers. So that's the history of it. Is Donald Trump an officer? I think the U.S. Supreme Court is going to try to find a technicality to let him run. It's a conservative U.S. Supreme Court. And I think they're going to say, hey, the definition of officer maybe only applies to a military officer, doesn't apply to the president.
It'll be interesting either way, but I agree. I think the outcome is really not in question. I think that the actions of both Colorado and Maine are going to be rejected or overruled by the Supreme Court. How they get there, though, I expect it to be some weird technicality that is super, super narrow, the way they always like to do it. Yeah.
Okay, but let me ask you this. If you're a Democrat, do you want to win this way? Right. Now, don't tell me, I'm not saying you are, and maybe we're not going to reveal, in later shows we may reveal our political affiliations, but let's just say I'm a Democrat. Okay, and I've got a blue shirt on. I don't want to win this way. I've got some dignity and respect, and I like democracy. But hey, I guess I know Joe Biden can't get it done, so this is what I've got to try to do.
Why wouldn't you want to win this way, though? If you truly believe that what happened on January 6th amounted to, quote, insurrection or rebellion, right? Why wouldn't you want someone who engaged in something like that to run for president?
That's the counter argument. And they're going to say he didn't want to do a peaceful transition of power. As a Republican president, it takes two to tango, right? That's the argument. Good news. The U.S. Supreme Court is going to hear oral arguments on February 8th, and we'll expect a decision fairly quickly. I don't think there's a question of whether Trump's not going to win this. I think he's going to be on the ballot. The next case we're going to talk about, the next Trump case, 2 of the 150, and I don't know if there's really 150, but there's a lot, is the Washington, D.C. criminal case. And Trump was indicted by a grand jury related to the 2020 January 6th events where they alleged that he subverted the election and committed insurrection. So the District of Columbia, the federal grand jury, has indicted him. It's criminal. And they're trying to convict him. Yep. So this is an interesting case because the issue is going to be, can you prosecute a president for criminal actions after he was out of office, or is the president immune to that kind of prosecution?
Yeah.
Now, this one is not so obvious, and I've got a great quote here. So at one point, Trump's attorneys are up and arguing to the judges in D.C., and Trump's attorney is up there straight-faced and saying, look, President Trump is completely immune from this kind of prosecution. And the judge, I think it was a Republican judge, maybe a Reagan appointee. I can't remember that exactly. But the judge looks at him and says, look, are you telling me that if a sitting president ordered the assassination of a political rival, we couldn't prosecute him here today?
Yeah.
And I just thought that really was a great hypothetical.
Yeah.
Right?
And his response, if he were impeached and convicted first, and that just seems so crazy.
Yeah. No, but that's a great lesson in oral argument of what you don't want to do. If you're an attorney and you've been sent to the hill, this is the hill you've been sent to die on.
Yep.
Okay. And this is the argument you're making. And you get a judge that asks you this question. It's clearly a loaded rhetorical question. And this guy, whoever it is, maybe it's a lady, I don't know, maybe it's a female, but the attorney for Trump, straight face, sticks to his guns and says, Judge, that's exactly what I'm telling you. He skirted a little bit.
I guess if he's saying that he's completely immune, though, from actions that he did, from criminal actions that were done while he was president, then he has to, in order for his argument to not have a glaring hole. Like, where do you draw where's the bright line? You can take actions to subvert the election, but you can't kill someone. Okay, can you blackmail them? I don't know. Like, where's the line there?
Yeah. And I guess his line, Trump's line, his defense, if he was impeached and convicted.
Yep.
So you got a sitting president out there having the military assassinate rivals, and then Congress has to impeach him first.
Yeah. I wonder how difficult that impeachment would be nowadays. Like, I wonder if that would actually go along party lines.
It would not surprise. As divided as this country is, it would not surprise me. Okay, so here's the other question. Let's say all the lawyering and the judges, that Trump loses on all the matters of law, okay? and this thing goes to a jury.
Mm-hmm.
Are there so many liberals in D.C.? Are there so many Democrats and so few Republicans that you can't find? Because of criminal law, so our listeners, this is criminal law. You have to have 12 jurors convict the guy in a criminal case beyond a reasonable doubt. That's the standard.
Mm-hmm.
So you need all 12 or you get a hung jury. I think that's right.
Yep.
So can you get 12? Can you pick a jury of 12 Trump-hating Democrats in Washington, D.C.?
I don't think you'd be able to get a jury of 12 people that really held that opinion that they would just convict him regardless. DC is, yes, like the political climate in DC, like the city government is quite left-leaning because of all the both right and left think tanks and political institutions in the area. And then obviously people working on the Hill. There's a pretty good mix of people who are right and left there. So I'd be really surprised if they were able to just straight up get 12 people who are that hardline Democrat that they're going to vote to convict him regardless. Now, you might be.
You live there.
I did live there for a while. I worked as an intern at the Embassy of Canada for a while. Not a Canadian, but I had to sign an agreement saying that I would not interfere with Canadian interests while I was an American citizen. It was an agreement with me and the Queen of
like maple syrup. Like you had to sign something that said we can still import. You're not going to interfere with their import of maple syrup.
Oh, absolutely. Maple syrup was actually a huge thing. I worked with the trade section, maple syrup, timber, etc. But that, and then I came back and worked for a few nonprofits there for a little bit in the summer during law school as well. But yeah, all in all, though, I think I would be surprised if they were able to get one that was 12 hardline Democrat. But I could see them getting a jury of 12 people who are either hardline Democrat / people who just on principle don't think that a president should be able to do the things Trump has done.
All right. So listeners, there you have it. Straight from the horse's mouth. All right. Austin Black, who spent some time in D.C., says there's no way you're getting 12 blue Democrat liberals in D.C. to convict Trump, even if you beat him on the law and everything. There it is. We're going to see how that turns out, but we don't know yet. All right. What are we doing next?
I think next we're going to answer some legal questions.
All right. So legal questions, names and facts have all been changed to protect confidentiality. These are things we've received in our law practice, requests that we've taken.
Yeah.
Some of them are supposed to be funny.
So the first one we have, Drake from Wichita Falls is in jail, and he needs to set up a trust ASAP because he needs to pay restitution in excess of $500,000.
Okay, so we've got jail mail.
Jail mail, exactly.
Jail call. And sometimes our firm, I feel sorry for them, right?
Yeah.
Because they're in prison. They've got nothing better to do. Sometimes they send letters and it's got like their prison number on it and it comes to the firm and it's handwritten and it's like, hey, our firm, by the way, practices real estate business, probate law. But it's like someone's, hey, I need help. And sometimes they really do need help. Most of the time they don't have money and you can never really contact someone in prison easily anyway. And then sometimes you get a phone call will come into the law firm and you're receiving your call from Texas Department of Corrections and prisoner number so and so.
Do you want to pay for this call? Yeah.
But these people need help. But anyway, so we've got, just so we're clear, we've got a jailbird, calling in and he needs some help. And he says, all right, I have been ordered. He's done something bad. We don't know what he's done. But he says, I've been ordered to pay some huge sum in restitution. And what restitution is, you committed a crime. It was so bad. You probably stole a bunch of money. No one will ever recover. The judge is going to sign an order saying you have restitution of $500,000 or whatever, $1 million. And this guy's brilliant idea, not that he has the $500,000, is to create a trust to protect himself from the people he defrauded or cheated or stole money from getting their restitution. That's who's calling
exactly.
us. Okay, good. Just now that we're clear on that, I'm happy we're there.
To say I want to do that when I'm in jail in the future,
right.
Why can't I do that? What's the problem?
Oh, you can, but we have something called UFTA, Uniform Fraudulent Transfers Act in Texas. And you can't, once you have, and I'm not sure, UFTA is applied to civil stuff, but it probably is also applied to criminal restitution. You cannot use trusts or vehicles to evade your creditors, right? That's all going to be, if you put those in protected assets, the courts, the civil courts in Texas are going to unwind all that. We get a lot of calls from people, hey, I just got sued and I'm running from this lawsuit and I've owned 3 investment properties. Throw them in a trust for me, throw them in an LLC. And you got to tell them, it's not going to do any good. They're just going to file, the attorney's going to chase you down, follow the title trail and say, hey, judge, this guy put it in a protected trust or asset to evade the creditors, so unwind it. And the judge is going to unwind it.
Yep. So, unfortunately, Drake, we can't help you out with your trust there.
No, can't. Yeah. Drake, I'm sorry. Jail mail, jail call, that one's not going anywhere. What do we have next?
Okay, so Jane from Houston called us wanting to talk about a possible breach of contract claim. So Jane went to law school somewhere in Texas. We won't name the law school.
Right.
And
probably the University of Texas.
Probably the University of Texas.
That's what that was. I'm almost certain. Go ahead. All right.
And so in Texas, for a little context, we have a rule where it's a 5 strikes and you're out. If you're taking the state bar to try to practice as a lawyer, if you take it 5 times and you fail it 5 times in a row, you are barred from taking the bar again. Okay.
Pun very much intended.
Exactly. You are barred from taking the bar. And I guess the reasoning from that is if you fail the bar 5 times, we really don't want you practicing law here.
Yeah, if you failed it 5 times, you're so stupid, we don't want you to practice.
Either so stupid or so lazy. Like I know some very smart people who have failed the bar multiple times just because they haven't applied themselves. But yeah, anyways, so Jane took the bar 5 times, failed it, and now her idea to fix this solution is to sue her law school for breach of contract.
Sue the University of Texas.
Yes.
Just want to be clear about
exactly.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she went to sue the University of Texas, to be clear. That's not where we're not saying that's where she went or where she did not go, but yes.
Are we worried about the University of Texas suing us?
University of Texas could be quite litigious at times.
Is that okay? Just for the record, it's just a joke. All right. She probably went there.
Probably. So she went to sue her law school because she did not pass the bar 5 times in a row. Now, Phil, do you think that's going to work?
Yes. I think that's a great case.
I think that's a good case.
Before we unpack that, her idea, the cause of action is breach of contract.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
All right. What are the elements of breach of contract in Texas?
You need a contract to exist is the first one.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So the University of Texas has a contract for her to pay tuition and go to law school. Mm-hmm. It's a contract, right? All right, yeah. Check that one off. All right, what's next?
Okay, and then there needs to be performance by the person bringing the suit, so the plaintiff.
Okay, she paid the tuition. She went to school. She took the finals, allegedly.
And so actually, even if she didn't actually attend the classes, right? In some cases, there could still be performance as long as she paid, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think there's a law that says some law you have to attend 80% of your classes. Mm-hmm. There's some percentage.
Sure,
but
we're on a roll.
Jane has a good case.
Yes.
Jane has a good case.
Thus far, Jane has a good case. Okay, and then there needs to be breach by the defendant.
Mm-hmm. I don't like that one. You ever do like a SWOT analysis? Mm-hmm. Like strength and weaknesses and something else?
Yep.
This is a weakness of the case?
This is a slight weakness of the case. So what would be the breach of the University of Texas here?
The breach is that Texas promised her that she was going to pass the bar.
Really? They did?
Yeah. No. So we're missing a critical element. If you're going to become a doctor or a lawyer or a pilot, right? I don't think your school is promising you that you're going to pass the licensing credential.
Yeah.
That's not part of the deal. Okay. So just for our listeners, all right, what's the final element of our breach of contract?
There have to be damages.
She has damages.
She does have damages.
But this isn't horseshoes or hand grenades. So you got to have all elements. In the law, you have to have all elements satisfied in order to prevail.
Exactly. Yep.
Do we ever get any potential clients or any fact patterns where we actually have a winner?
Yeah, we definitely do. We get them quite often.
These are supposed to be funny.
These are funny. These are people we talk to and say, hey, and we treat them very seriously as they should be because they're people coming to us with issues that are really important to them, right? They've experienced something that makes them think that they have this claim. We explain to them, hey.
I'm not sure everybody at the firm treats them that seriously.
I try to. And walk them through.
And by the way, these may not be real people.
They may not be real people, exactly.
So what's our next segment to this? One of my favorite podcasters, I can't remember the exact show her name, but I don't do segues. I do awkward transitions. Yeah, and in spirit of, and in honor of one of my favorite podcasters.
Yeah, so the next thing we're talking about is tangential to the funny
stuff you're trying to segue it. You're trying to segue it. Just go with the awkward transition.
Okay, I'll just scooter. It's legal vocab, okay? So just some vocabulary in the law that people may not know and people may get confused with. Like I had a woman who talked to me the other day, and the first thing she said to me was, she knew I was a lawyer. She said, "Do you handle family planning?" I was like, definitely not for you. We do handle estate planning, though. So estate planning is when someone has passed away and you need to deal with their assets. That's called.
It could be that's more like probate.
That's probate.
I mean, you mean estate planning could also be
making a will. So the precursor to that. So making a will or setting up trust, making sure that your assets are all taken care of after you pass away.
Yeah.
That it's not family planning. Definitely not family.
So she was confusing family law and estate planning doing together. So to me, family planning would be something different. If someone wanted to pay us enough money, I think we could do some family planning, right?
Sure. If we wanted to do legal family planning, that would be like probably a prenuptial agreement or something like that.
No, I'm talking about, hey, family planning. How much money are you going to pay me to negotiate with your spouse on how many times you're going to be intimate with
Exactly. So a prenup, yeah.
We could put that in. I wonder about the enforceability of that. Actually, under Talmudic law, I believe if someone's going to fact check it, one of my listeners is going to fact check this, but I think in the Talmud, it actually prescribes the number of times per week that you should be intimate with your wife. And
I have not kept up with that myself, but I'll take it.
I think that's a version. I think we have created a new practice area called family planning.
Let's not put that on our website, though.
We are way ahead of our times here. We've invented a new practice area. I'm going with that.
Yeah.
All right, the next one we have.
Yeah, so segue into the next one. And we were talking about estate planning. So when someone has passed away, we will have a potential client talk to us and say, the first thing they say is, "Hi, I'm my mom's executioner." And yes.
Okay, so they call you and you're like, "Hey, what do they mean? What do they mean to say?"
They don't mean that they killed their parent. What they're trying to say is the executor. They're trying to say that they were their mother's executor.
Hold on. Unless it's the Menendez brothers.
Sure. Unless it's them.
Do you know who they are? Are you old enough to know who they are? Menendez brothers?
I'm assuming they're someone who killed one of their parents.
I think there was they were like two twins or two brothers or something that killed their parents. Yeah. And it happened a while ago. But maybe the Menendez brothers are calling you and they're like, "Hey, I'm my mom's executioner." That would be true in that case.
It would be true in that case. And if they're trying to deal with their mom's estate and receive something under their mom's estate, that wouldn't work out for them because we have something called a Slayer rule, where if you kill the person for whom you are a beneficiary of, you can't receive that, whatever's coming from that estate, unfortunately.
So the Menendez brothers are out of luck.
Yeah, sadly.
We covered that.
Sadly, yep.
And most people calling us saying they're their mom's executioner really mean they're their mom's executor.
Executor, that's right.
Which, if you're in another state listening to this, by the way, those other states, you call them personal representatives. Mm-hmm. So you're the executor in the will, you're the personal representative. You're not the execution.
Exactly. We hope not. Yeah.
We've got a couple. Do we have some other ones? We're supposed to have a serious one.
The last thing we wanted to cover really briefly is if you are trying to purchase a property with someone who is not your spouse.
Okay. We get all these calls at the law firm, and they're usually like, "Hey, I've got a boyfriend. We're buying a house together. We need to do some sort of agreement." And the first words out of your mouth are what?
The first words out of my mouth would be, "Do not."
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do that.
Run. Don't do it. You're far too young.
Exactly.
Okay. So don't buy a house with significant other. Don't buy a house with boyfriend, girlfriend. But look, we can't convince them. No. We say, "Hey, don't do it." We're an honest law firm, right? We don't want your money that bad. Don't do that. We're trying to give you the right advice. But then they're just like, "Oh, Austin, I need to do it. My boyfriend, we're in love. We're never going to break up. Mm-hmm. Let's buy that house together." And Austin's, "Look, I'll take your money. All right, the firm will take your money, but we told you not to do it."
Yes.
All right, fine. So what do? We draft a joint venture agreement.
We draft a joint venture agreement or a partnership agreement that states the terms of this agreement that they're entering into, is saying, "We're purchasing this house. It's 50-50 ownership," something like that.
And we put a lot of eventualities in. Hey, what happens when you break up? What happens when he cheats on you? Who pays the expenses? Where are you going to live while he's cheating on you and or why she's cheating on
Yeah.
you? And they're bringing their significant other in the house that you own together, right? And we put all those things in there.
Yeah.
We get that one a lot. And frankly, we do too many of those agreements for people who are madly in love with each other that are not getting married, that believe they'll never part ways.
That's true. Yeah.
All right. What are we ranting and raving about today?
Small business reviews online, on Google, on Yelp, etc.
One of my favorite topics. So I'm the owner of the firm. I own some other businesses, small business owner. And what is happening is everybody and their mom goes online, leaves reviews, and mostly they're negative reviews. And most of these reviews to consumers, I believe, are a complete waste of time. Because the data I'm seeing, and I've got some figures from the Washington Post, and we know the Washington Post never lies.
No, I go over there for all my news.
Yeah. 30 to 40% of all online reviews are fake. And by the way, the Attorney General is cracking down on a lot of these fake reviews. But all right, that aside, so we figure 70% of them are real, but they're still like almost all negative because why? Why would they all be negative? I mean,
because people are more motivated to do something, to take action when something negative happens to them as a positive.
Exactly. Who in their right mind? I don't know. How many people will we offended today? I don't know, but no, not very few people get online like, I love that service. I love that doctor. I love that lawyer. I love that whatever, that veterinarian, and I'm just going to rush and leave them this great review.
I personally really like seeing the badge next to my name on Google for how many reviews people have like thumbs up, so that's fun for me.
All your negative reviews that you leave.
No, they're all positive.
I mean, you're one of the few. Most of the positive we're begging our clients to leave positive reviews. They just don't want to do it. They're busy. Hey, you gave me the service. It was a good service, but am I going to get online and leave you a positive review? I'm going to beg them. And by the way, so a lot of these businesses, these aren't necessarily fake. Just a heads up, if you own a small business, you cannot give anything of value for the review.
The gym I started going to, where they told me that I'll get a free T-shirt if I give them a 5-star review, they can't do that. Is that what you're saying?
No. Yeah. There's a question of the T-shirt of value. I don't think that one is super high on the Attorney General's list to prosecute.
Probably not.
But yeah, you can't be like, hey, free meal, $100 for a review, T-shirt for a review. The Attorney Generals are not liking that as of recent. So don't do that if you're a small business owner. And by the way, if you're one of those consumers and you're listening to this and you think, hey, I love leave negative reviews, I don't recommend that either, because you're opening yourself up to all sorts of defamation. So, and maybe what you say is true. The ultimate defense to defamation is truth.
In the U.S. at least.
I'm going to tell you. Yes. So I'm going to tell you, as at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep and you're so mad that, your dog groomer screwed up Fido or whatever, you're going to type something that's inaccurate. And that small business owner, is going to see it. And maybe that small business owner calls us and wants to pay us a $5,000 retainer for a defamation case against the consumer. We don't love taking those cases. I don't know if we've ever taken one, but there's nothing good that comes out of leaving reviews. And these big tech companies like Google and Yelp's not like Google, but they have a vested interest in getting basically negative reviews. There used to be a site called Ripoff Report, which is like the most crooked thing in the world. And the whole business was to get negative reviews and extort business owners. I've got good news though.
Good news.
I have come up with a strategy to fight for small business owners to fight negative reviews. And it doesn't involve it doesn't involve paying me thousands of dollars to sue them.
Okay. That sounds like a better option.
Yes. And I'm calling it review shaming. And here's what we do. So when some crazy client leaves our firm a negative review. And look, I love our law firm. We do a great job. I believe we offer a great service. But every now and then you get a crazy client and they get on there and they leave some kind of review that's pretty much not true. We substantively respond to the review. But what I've been doing recently is I go click on Google and see for the last 6 months, like who they've reviewed. And 9 out of 10 times it's all negative. So I'll respond, Mr. Smith, substantive response. And then I'll say, by the way, Mr. Smith, in the last 6 months has left 10 negative reviews, 1 against his veterinarian, one against his car wash. Who goes to a car wash? Who goes to a routine car wash? I'm not mentioning any names. That and expects to actually get a good car wash,
I
right?
don't know. Someone who watched
But
Shark Tale one too many times, and they were just
yes,
enthralled by the car washes.
when I go to a car wash, I don't expect to go. Someone goes to your local coffee shop or McDonald's. If you're leaving negative reviews at a KFC
Yeah.
or a McDonald's or something, I'm like, you got a problem. All
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
So you go through and you see the craziest stuff. Like the guy, in the last 6 months, you have left 10 negative reviews, not one positive review. And I'll say it appears that Mr. Smith cannot be satisfied. And if we had known that Mr. Smith was a stark raving mad lunatic leaving negative reviews, we would have not taken him as a client. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, most of the time, Mr. Smith will then take that review down.
Yeah.
So I call it review shaming, and this is a new service that not our firm, but maybe another one of my businesses is offering.
And I think that could be lucrative. As you were talking, I just remembered, I think the only negative review I've ever left in my history of Yelp/Google's. Do you remember the Tiger King guy that was really big on Netflix for a long time?
Yes. So, he had a deal. He ended up.
Yeah, exactly.
He was guilty.
So his animal reserve was like on the border of Oklahoma and Texas. And I went there before he got really big, and I was just absolutely appalled by everything at that place. It was the top-rated review on his place, 1 star. Me going through and listing all of my grievances with it. He had like things like from the very beginning in the gift shop. You walk around, and the first thing is a picture of him modeling his like leopard print underwear in the gift shop. It was crazy, but yeah.
Okay, so maybe the Tiger King deserved a negative review from Austin Black. Don't be ashamed. I'm not trying to shame people. I am. It's called review shaming.
But you're not shaming people for justified negative reviews. You're shaming them for habitually go and write negative reviews as a coping mechanism.
I'm not holding your one negative Tiger King review against you.
Thank you.
But I do have a person I really admire in review shaming. And I'm going to tell you, I just found this has become, I live in the Houston area, and nice area, Memorial area. And there's an Italian restaurant down the road, and all of the ladies, all the people, not just ladies, but all the people in my neighborhood, frequent this restaurant. And it has a following. I ate there once. I personally didn't like it. I did not leave a negative review. But it has become like, I don't know, what are millennials? Is it a meme? It's probably not a meme. I don't know. I'm technically the oldest millennial, but Austin's a real millennial. I'm more like culturally Generation X. But yeah, we'll leave that one alone for now. But so there's this Italian restaurant down the road, and it's become like just a hysterical thing, these reviews. And so customers go in, eat at the restaurant, and leave a bad review. And this real authentic Italian owner gets on and just roasts. Right. So I've got one sample that I want to read. And here's from the Google reviews. This is the customer, by the way. I ordered a pasta and I didn't like it. The manager even came in and saw that I barely ate it. He basically said, sorry, yes, it does not have a lot of cheese, and didn't even offer to give me a discount. And then he or she goes on, by the way. I didn't like the restaurant.
To me, if a customer isn't satisfied, you try to do something to make them happy, and for that reason, I will not come back here.
No, lady, do you know how many times I've got 4 kids? Like, I never had a happy meal. That's not the restaurant's fault, okay? But how many bad meals I get? I don't leave negative reviews. But anyway, so the Italian owner, and I'm not going to do the broken Italian because that may be offensive, and I've offended enough people today. But I also probably don't do it well. But this is the response: barely ate it. LOL. We get freeloaders like you every day. Order all kind of food and drinks like wine and cocktails and say, oops, don't like it and don't want to pay for this or that. Learn to live. You order it, you touch it, you cannot send it back without the excuse that I don't like it. It's your problem you don't like it. Besides, we offered alternatives. I don't order a steak, cut it, begin to eat it, and halfway then say, I don't like it, not paying for it. Most places would call the cops on you. Try going to sushi place, putting the raw fish in your mouth, and then saying, don't like it. The only thing in your mind is make you happy is not paying and getting $1,000 a gift card. All apologies and kissing your butt. You are ridiculous. Don't ever come back. You are banned. Don't We don't need nasty customers like you. Look, I don't know if this is a man or a woman that owns this restaurant, but I love this person. And I'm hiring. Right now, I'm just making an executive decision. I'm walking down to the restaurant. I didn't like the restaurant. I'm like, hey, your restaurant's not good, but I tell you what, can I hire you? I'm going to pay you more to be our firm's PR person.
I'm sure that will get so many positive reviews.
That's going to go. Oh, okay. The other option, let's say I can't afford the Italian. The other option is I copy all of his reviews, feed it into ChatGPT, create a ChatGPT bot that does all of our review responses. And then we don't have to respond.
Please write all of our review responses in this vein with the same broken English, etc. Yeah, that go very well.
Imagine that I'm an angry Italian person.
I feel like you lose a lot though with angry Italian, like just pure text statements online though, because it doesn't have all the gesticulations that you really need to see to get across the actual message.
That's true. But you just do the thing with your thumb and your fingers and you shake it violently forward and back. And sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. I don't know.
We'll figure it out one day.
But
one day
we will do that. That's on the list. All right. That brings our show to a close. We just finished our first episode, our first weekly docket episode. That's episode 1. Was it a success?
We hope so.
We don't know. We're doing it.
Yep.
Did we offend anyone? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of people that leave reviews and Italians.
And Italians, yeah.
But we did come up with some interesting business models where we created a new law practice section.
I will not be practicing family planning. But
family planning law. It's going to be big. And we've started a company that small businesses can hire us to do review shaming for. That's our show. So if you liked it, subscribe or follow. And look, you can leave us a review if you want. If it's a good review, great. If it's a bad review, we might review shame you. So be careful on your review history. But at this point, since it's our first episode, we probably appreciate any comments or reviews.
Absolutely.
Good or bad. All right. With that, we are signing off. I've been your host, Phil Silberman, and Austin Black has been my co-host.